I'm in the editorial department of Fantastic Books Publishing, where I'm assured I'm perfectly safe as long as the editors don't run out of manuscripts. Puzzles. I think it's puzzles. I've always been intrigued by puzzles, especially the ones that go with crimes. When I was 5 years old, I witnessed a robbery. Not that I had any idea what I was witnessing at the time. I was playing with a flotilla of handmade paper boats in a storm drain. But I was interviewed by a policeman who looked, as I remember him, about 12 feet tall, very large, sturdy and imposing. And it kind of made an impression. And there's something about that situation that often happens with a crime. Complicated situation turns out to have a really mundane answer behind it. But sometimes it's the really mundane situation that has the terribly complex answer behind it. That, I think, is what inspires me most. Probably all of them, and I don't tend to put people into boxes anyway. Just lately I've been reading Hilary Mantel and her Booker winners, Wolf Hall and Bringing Up the Bodies, and I think they're wonderful, and if those aren't crime novels, well, what are? But I can get equally engrossed in a really good Dick Francis or Agatha Christie or Dashiell Hammett or Val McDermid or whosoever you like. I can even sometimes get engrossed in my own books. Probably shouldn't say that. I was once invited along with a group of protesters. I'm going back several decades here. At the last minute, their transport let them down. So I was asked, could we use my car? I was the only one with wheels. Well, what could I say? So along we went, parked in this little alley, and I waited as instructed. What nobody told me was that it wasn't just the people I'd given a lift to. There were crowds of people from all over the place who eventually came racing back towards this little alleyway, having done whatever it was they'd done, all ready to get away. And their original transport had been some sort of massive people carrier type thing. Well, all I had was my little minivan. Elderly thing, it didn't even have any seats in the back, and the back was full of rubbish anyway. So this unfeasibly enormous number of people came piling in and on this tiny, creaky, rusty little van. Somebody shouted, "Go, go, go!" And then I realised, of course, I'd just parked in the alleyway, like I was told. It was dead end. So the start of my one and only getaway drive was a 3-point turn. It was probably a 5-point turn, I think, in the end, a very dodgy one. And then we limped off with all these people hanging on. We could have been overtaken by an arthritic policeman with a Zimmer frame. But luckily, nobody happened to give pursuit, so we were fine. The very first thing I'll do, of course, is rush straight to the victim, see how they are, see if I can do anything for them, and that, of course, is going to be where the police are going to find me. What I'll tell them, of course, is that this is all my years of healthcare training coming to the fore. I'm rushing to see what I can do. Now, they're going to be pretty sceptical. I'm going to be covered in blood, I've got the murder weapon, I don't know that I'm going to get arrested, but I'm going to be interrogated pretty strictly, but I am going to stick to my story about this, very unlikely though it is, some person shoving a murder weapon at me. And at a key moment, I'm going to remember a very important piece of information, something I just happened to spot, and it's going to lead them to this other person. So they're going to bring this other person in. Now, I'm still the prime suspect, of course. But the other person is going to tell also a rather unlikely tale. They're going to say that they saw somebody committing a murder, and that the murder weapon was shoved into their hands, and that as they ran away, I offered to take the weapon from them, and so they gave me the weapon and ran. Now, nobody's really going to believe that. But, of course, the conscientious detectives and so on will have to check. Now, I am, in the course of all this, of course, going to remember that I was in that corner shop, just round the corner, just before that, and they could try the guy there. Maybe he'll remember something useful. Well, as it happens, he will just have been checking his clocks and doing this, that and the other, and he will remember to the second when I left that shop. And you know what? That's going to put me in the clear. Now, of course, the story behind all this is going to be something quite mundane. It'll be something like an insurance fraud. And the person who paid for the murder in the first place is hoping to collect the insurance money. And if the insurance money is paid out, then the person who actually did the murder is going to get a cut. And that person is, of course, me, because I did the murder, I lured the other person there, I shoved the murder weapon into their hands, and while they were still in shock, I raced round the corner, whipping off my big coat, appearing as somebody else, and said, "Quick, give me the murder weapon." And then, of course, I'll give my cut to the guy in the corner shop who's giving me my alibi. And of such things are crime novels made.